He also former UMass quarterback.
Okay, all right.
He's an up-and-coming offensive mastermind from the McVay tree.
He was.
That's the word on the street.
Well, you know what, though? And that is the point of this segment, Dan Ball. Because these press conferences, we've seen them work in a variety of ways. There have been ones that we thought were cringy or just flat out bad. And let's just say I'll start, Stiz, with Gerard Mayo from a year ago. Do you have anything from Gerard Mayo's thunderous debut at Gillette Stadium?
I appreciate you, Thunder. I call him Young Thundercat, has a young heart. This has definitely been a dream of mine. I know one thing that Thunder talked about was I had always been a coach in his mind. I would say I'm a huge believer in just developing people, whether it's on the football field, whether it's off the football field, in the media world, in business. My calling is to be a teacher and to develop people and help them see pretty much what they don't want to see, but they need to see. So my job has always been that is my calling.
Okay. I think we can agree that wasn't great, especially the weird thunder woven throughout.
When he said, I call him Thundercat because he's young, and so I tell Thunder. When he said it the second time, it's like, okay, we heard it the first time.
Oh, yeah, and he probably said it multiple other times as well.
All right.
So
not the worst.
No, not the worst.
There's some I'd put in front of him
but
that
there
were worse.
May have been some warning signs.
No doubt.
I would also even argue that the aspect of the press conference where race was brought up and Robert said one thing and then Gerard Mayo immediately contradicted him.
I do see color.
Not ideal. Something you might have wanted to workshop off
Get
air.
on the same page before
yes,
you go out there.
Before you get in front of a microphone. So Gerard Mayo didn't have a great introductory press conference and didn't have a great 357-day run as head coach of the New England Patriots. So that's one where the writing may have been on the wall. There's other examples, though, I would say. Oh, I don't know. Who's playing in the Super Bowl this week? It's the Chiefs versus the Eagles. The Eagles head coach is Nick Sirianni. Nick Sirianni had what I would declare was a disastrous introductory press conference in Philadelphia.
The first part of that, the first part of being smart is knowing what to do. We're gonna have systems in place that are easier to learn. All right, complicated to the defense or offense that they're going against or the special teams group they're going against, but easy for us to learn.
Okay.
What the hell was that?
You sounded very, nervous.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. I get you're nervous, but guess when you're also going to be nervous? I don't know, when you're going out into a big football game or when you're getting in front of a room of 75, 300-pound millionaires who are ready to just chew you up and spit you out. Wouldn't you also be nervous there? And don't I need you to look like you're not nervous there?
Yeah.
So that guy was stuttering, stammering, and talking about his smart systems that were going to be disaster. That guy's never going to make it, except you know where he's going to make it to? 2 Super Bowls in 3 years. He's back in the Super Bowl again. And I'm not arguing. It is
shocking. The guy that I think wore a T-shirt that said beat the Cowboys or something one.
Oh, and then he told some fan base to go F themselves or whatever. Basically running off the field. And I'm not going to argue Nick Sirianni's a great coach. I think he has a great team. I think Howie Roseman has done a great job putting together a great roster.
And his coordinators.
Oh, absolutely.
Kellen Moore, Vic Fangio.
Well, now they fired his coordinators last year because I thought he was on his way towards being fired too, because usually that happens. But he hasn't gotten in the way. He hasn't been so bad that his team couldn't make it to the Super Bowl in 2 of the last 3 years, right?
I'll be honest. It's one of the big upsets of all time for me because I thought he wouldn't last a season.
Okay, so we have a bad press conference that led to bad coaching. Then we had a bad press conference that led to 2 trips to the Super Bowl. How about we go with a good press conference? There are examples of good opening press conferences that probably set the tone for the philosophy, style, and energy of an organization such as, I don't know, how about Dan Campbell and the Detroit Lions?
Well, maybe I can explain that a little bit better, but instead of saying, who am I, by telling you what...
Sorry, I didn't know we were calling for Dan. As soon as I played that, I'm like, wait a minute. I thought he was setting me up for Joe Judge.
Play Joe Judge again, though. We can go with another negative. Sorry, Joe. This one's a bad one.
Well, maybe I can explain that a little bit better, but instead of saying, who am I, by telling you what's relevant in this conversation with being a coach of the New York Giants, what I'm about. And what I'm about is an old school physical mentality. okay? We're going to put a product on the field that the people of this city and region will be proud of, because this team will represent this area. We will play fast. We'll play downhill. We'll play aggressive. We'll punch you in the nose for 60 minutes. We'll play every play like it has a history and a life of its own with a relentless competitive attitude.
What'd you think of that, Ted Johnson?
Oh, this was probably one of the all-time worst for me. When you're like, we're gonna we're gonna play the way this community's expects us to play, fast, downhill, and aggressive. I thought Joe Judge's his press conference was one of the worst I've ever heard.
I think that may have, and this is a different topic because we're talking about NFL introductory head coach press conferences here.
Overselling. It was just overselling.
Would that have worked at college?
In college, that stuff can't work.
Exactly. And there is a difference. You need to sort of know your role, know your audience, know the situation you're falling into. Now, maybe that line is also blurring. I don't know. The more NIL and money hits college, maybe that is just a business now, too, and you can't rally the troops for 4 years when they're leaving after 1 year if they don't like you kind of thing. But that Joe Judge one, that was predictable.
You're almost like, how do these owners not sit down with these coaches for 5 minutes and interview them and go, yeah, this is a guy I want. This Joe Judge, I mean, the way he talks, it really instills confidence in me.
And that's a great point here on WEEI Afternoons as we break down introductory press conferences of NFL head coaches, courtesy of Liam Coen, who didn't have a great one down in Jacksonville yesterday. These guys, do you think the presentation, the energy that they give to owners, GMs, whoever, in the interview process is similar to what they then share with the collected media? Or do you think they do one thing behind the closed doors and then they do something in front of the media that they think they're supposed to be doing, and maybe that's where the disconnect is?
That's a good question. I'd like to think that they're both the same. Like they present themselves to the owners the same way they would to the media.
So then how the hell did Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie hire Nick Sirianni? How did Mara and whatever else hire Joe Judge?
Bill Belichick is the reason Joe Judge was hired. Like, I think they go off of recommendations. A lot of them take crazy. Hire coaches based on other coaches who they respect and get their, I'm sure the Maras, they respect Bill Belichick in his opinion. So they asked him, and he says, yes, Joe Judge would be a great head coach. So despite maybe what they were really feeling inside when they interviewed him, like, really? But Bill Belichick said this guy was going to be a good head coach. They went ahead and hired him anyway.
Stiz, what are your thoughts on this?
I think definitely that's true as well. But I do think people do freeze in front of cameras.
Wouldn't you also freeze in front of billionaires?
There's a big difference between speaking to someone one-on-one or 1v2, 1v3 to in a room full of cameras, lights, everyone's looking at you, let's go.
I mean, that is a fair point. It's kind of like your adrenaline can almost it's all of a sudden it just gets amped up.
Sure.
When you see all the cameras, all the people there, I could, maybe if I'm thinking about it a little bit more here, I could see the moment getting away from them a little bit, and so they present maybe differently because of the pressures of what they're seeing in front of them.
Okay, so let's go to a good one now. Now we have Dan Campbell setting the tone for his tenure with the Lions.
This place has been kicked, it's been battered, it's been bruised, and I can sit up here and give you coach speak all day long. I can give you, hey, we're going to win this many games. I can't. None of that matters, and you guys don't want to hear it anyway. You've had enough of that so excuse my language. Here's what I do know, is that this team is going to take on the identity of this city, all right? And the city's been down, and it found a way to get up, all right? It's found a way to overcome adversity, all right? And so this team's going to be built on, we're going to kick you in the teeth, all right? And when you punch us back, we're going to smile at you. And when you knock us down, we're going to get up. And on the way up, we're going to bite a kneecap off, all right? And we're going to stand up. And then it's going to take 2 more shots to knock us down, all right? And on the way up, we're going to take your other kneecap, and we're going to get up. And then it's going to take 3 shots to get us down. And when we do, we're going to take another hunk out of you. Before long, we're going to be the last one standing, all right? That's going to be the mentality.
No chance. No chance that guy is a good head coach, right?
Nope. No,
he's won 27 games over the last 2 seasons.
The difference is he was a player. It sounds authentic. I don't think he's faking it. Like, it really is about authenticity. Mm-hmm. Does the guy sound like what he's saying he really means. Dan Campbell, I think that's how he really – what he's saying, I think he really means.
I agree.
Right? I think that's the difference. And players smell that. Be your own man. If you're a whack job and you say crazy things, well, if that's who you really are, that's who you present yourself to be behind closed doors and in front of everybody, players will accept you more if you're just your real authentic self as opposed to one way in front of the team, one way behind closed doors.